Hello, welcome to JIBRIN Angle on OWELEKETV. My name is JIBRIN, and this is my angle. I came across a note, a message, I think, on someone's X account. I don't really know the person, but going by his platform, I think he has a significant number of followers. So I decided to take him seriously. I went through what he wrote, very short, not long, but very, very insightful and interesting for you to know. If you will need to actually you want to stick by and hear this write up, and thereafter I shall be talking about it. His name is Ndubisi Ekekwe. So he wrote this about the economy of Nigeria. Actually, it's about where the Nigeria's economy is at the moment, how it has become, how it has deteriorated, how bad it is. While it is not shocking to me, it is surprising as well. Surprising to me, in the sense that I didn't know that it has gotten this bad. That is just the reality. Okay, without wasting time, once again, thank you for joining me on this monologue. And I hope you have been enjoying. For those of you who are returning viewers, I hope you've been enjoying what I have been sending your way. And those of you who are new, I hope you will stick around. You stick around and watch what we do here, and I hope you will be interested in being at least being a returning viewer or a loyal audience. And as such, subscribe and then set on your notification bells so that whenever we upload our contents, you'll be able to you'll be notified to actually watch them. Okay, let's go straight to it. Good people, our economic indicators in Nigeria have severely diminished. I just completed my back the envelope village boy study, and the results are troubling. 3 indicators. 1. The number of active aircrafts parked in Nigeria's leading local airport at 9 p.m. have dropped by more than 30% from January 2023 numbers. Now, I don't know much about this, but I assume that he used that word 9 p.m. That number 9 p.m. To actually as a yardstick to gauge the number of aircraft that actually are the number of aircraft that are active in business. It's also because 9 p.m. generally, of course, it's I think that is night. And that is when all businesses are closed for the day, except for those flying international. So most of these aircraft, they are done for the day. So at least significant number of them are parked for the day. At that level, you'll be able to count how many of these aircrafts are in active business, sort of. So, but however, 30% in economy is very huge. When a company or a business records 30% loss, my God, that business obviously is automatically by default goes to bankruptcy. That is just the reality. In economy, loss, 1% loss is huge. Between 1 and 5% loss is huge. If a company loses 5% annually, my God, the entire board will be on fire, serious fire. There will be immense and intense pressure on the entire board. And if care is not taken, some heads will roll. People will be fired for losing between 1 and 5%. Definitely, people will take account and will hold people. The system will hold people account to that. But here we are talking about 30%. 30%. That is huge. Okay, number 2 indicator is the number of ships coming to Nigeria have dropped. And most troubling, ships continue to depart Nigeria largely empty. Ask your friends to climb the tallest buildings in Marina, Lagos, and count occasionally over a week how many are coming and leaving and how loaded they are. This is alarming. I totally understand what this man is saying here. Now, this is I think all the indices he has pointed so far, and the ones I will read more are just common sense indices. You don't need a professor of economics to actually give you this analysis. Just a simple, just a common sense economic analysis. The airport own whatever, it's the same thing. Just go to the airport. For someone who knows much about the airport environment or whatever, you can take note of what is happening there with just common sense. That's exactly what he did here. The seaport, again, the same thing. This is a common sense economy. That is just the reality. What he is there basically telling us here is that the traffic has diminished. The traffic at the airport has diminished or is diminishing up to about 30% and probably still going down. The traffic at the seaports are diminishing as well, though there is no percentage here. But basically, when you see when we have a very significant low number of ships coming into Nigeria and leaving Nigeria, and the few that are leaving that came and are leaving back are leaving sometimes empty, almost empty. It speaks of something. That means we are not exporting. Exportation is one. Importation is low. That is what it means, because what it says here is ship continue to depart Nigeria. The number of ships coming to Nigeria have dropped. You see, that is, even importation has dropped. And most troubling, ships continue to depart Nigeria largely empty, which means even exportation has dropped significantly. That is the implication. These two indices are very alarming indicators. Very, very alarming. Then the third indicator is international traffic in Nigeria's main airport, MMA, that's Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, is off by more than 50%. Wow. Compared to January 2023 numbers. To do that, ask people who work there to take photos at 8 p.m. West African time and send them to you from Monday to Sunday. Wow. Now, I don't know the difference between the indicator 1, where he mentioned the airport activity aircraft, active aircrafts diminishing by 30%. I don't know but this one is okay, international traffic in Nigeria main airport is off by more than. This is traffic he's talking about here. Okay. He talked about here, this third indicator he mentioned is talking about, his focus is on traffic. The other indicator is talking about the number of aircrafts that are still. I think technically both of them, excuse me, but both of them are intertwined. So obviously, if you have the number of aircrafts dropping, obviously you will also have the traffic dropping. Now, this is even worse than the 30%. International traffic in Nigeria's main airport. This is our major airport. Our busiest airport. Everybody knows Murtala Mohammed International Airport is the busiest. We have several international airports in Nigeria, but Murtala Mohammed International Airport is the largest and the busiest. I don't know if I will call it largest, but at least it is the busiest. Now, the business has dropped with about 50% compared to last year. 50%, folks, 50%. Activities, traffic have dropped 50% at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. This is alarming. It is alarming. Very, very alarming. Nigeria is just at the precipice right now. Okay. Let me read on. I think the last paragraph says, if supply chain is the engine of commerce, the implication is that if our supply chain is seeing a significant drop, it does mean that our economic activities have reduced. Of course, this is a common sense. For those of you who have been following me, I always talk about common sense economy. I do not listen to economic analysts or commentators who come on national or especially mainstream media to give us some figures that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't actually translate to what is on ground. Economy is supposed to be translated. That's why sometimes I view, most times, not just sometimes, I view all these economic analysts as manipulators. Because economy is a common sense thing. Economy is a give and take thing. It is what you give it, that is what it gives you back. So if you are giving me figures as an economic expert, you are giving me figures and the figures are not being translated to what is on ground, you are telling me nonsense. And that is just the reality. So let me continue. It does mean that our economic activities have reduced. No doubt about that. Again, this is not a scientific study, but this is one way. Of course, it is not a scientific study. Again, like this man is just a common sense economist. He may not even be an economist by profession, but I always tell people about this. Talk to people this way. Economy is a common sense subject. Most times, there are times. That's why that's why it's not a science. I don't know. It's a social science. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is, it is a clear cut situation when it comes to economy, where what you give it is what it gives back to you. That is just the reality. But this is one way I have been using. Let me repeat this again. This is not a scientific study. Of course, it is not. This is a common sense study. Sometimes these scientific studies are the studies I mentioned earlier, that you hear economic experts going out on air to give us some indications or statistics or analysis of what is really going on. And me, my own judgment, if you listen to them and go back to the street to corroborate what you had compared to what you are seeing on the ground, both sides does not meet. Most cases they don't. And that is where I see a kind of manipulation in the scientific. That is where manipulation comes into play. They manipulate these figures sometimes just for political reasons, to garner popularity. That is the way. Of course, government pays people, all those analysts, to go on national media and they have so many agents everywhere. They pay media organizations, they pay analysts, they pay commentators. They said to them, they are all on their pay list. So they can say nonsense. They can tell you whatever, the science of economics, but it doesn't, as long as it does not reflect in what is on the ground, it is nonsense. They are manipulators. That is just it. But this is one way I have been using for years to provide a quasi-independent evaluation of where things are. Look, I'm on this man's page. I'm on his side. I perfectly align with this. What's his name again? His name is Ndubuisi Ekekwe. That's his name. I repeat this last let me repeat this last paragraph. If supply chain is the engine of commerce, the implication is that if our supply chain is seeing a significant drop, it does mean that our economic activities have reduced. Again, this is not a scientific study. Of course, I hate scientific studies. Let's go to the field and see, just let's see what is happening there. But this is one way I have been using for years to provide a quasi-independent evaluation of where things are. And honestly, my dear Ndubisi, this your own pattern. It's a common sense pattern. And that common sense pattern is what relates, that is exactly what relates to people like us who are not professional economists, who that this is your own pattern is what relates to people on the streets. Common my laymen and women, a sort of petty traders and common citizens. So this is what relates to us, and this is the reality on ground. And he concluded on saying, we need to quadruple our efforts to avert economic paralysis. Ndubisi, honestly, you have said the right, perfect thing. However, your closing remark, or your closing comment, while I understand, excuse me, the hope behind your comment, your last comment, I also understand the faith you have in the system, hence this last comment. However, people like us have lost hope in the system. We've lost faith in the system, not because we are pessimistic or we are pessimists. No, but because we are realists. I am a realist. And the reality on ground is that you can be hopeful. You can have faith. Okay, faith is something not seen. I understand, but when you are talking about hope and faith, you should be seeing something. You should be seeing something that is visible. Now, in terms of spiritual things, when it comes to God, yes, faith, anything can happen. You can talk about faith, but when it comes to economics, honestly, it goes beyond faith and hope. Because when everything, the indices, the actions, everything, they are just pointing at darkness at the end of the tunnel, it is hopeless for you to be hopeful. It is senseless for you to be hopeful or to have faith. Now, what do you ask? What do I mean by that? Yeah, what I mean by that is the people who are at the helm of affair right now, the people who are the pilots and the sailor and the captains of the ship, pilots of the aircraft and the captains of the ship, are a bunch of non-entities, bunch of criminals, bunch of hoodlums, bunch of area boys, bunch of insensitive, greedy, self-seeking, selfish individuals that are evil-minded. Some of them are so myopic and shallow-minded in the way they do things. Everything that they are doing at this point is just about themselves and themselves alone. They are not sensitive to anything good for this country or for the masses. They are evil personified. Everything about them is darkness. Darkness hovers around them. I refer to them as reprobates. How can you be hopeful and have faith in a system that is being run by reprobates? Reprobates are those that are unrepentant, that do not have repentance in their DNA. Reprobates are those that are doomed for destruction. And that is it. And those are the people that are ruling us. They are doomed for destruction. Because there is no repentance, they don't want to change, they are not ready to change, they are not working towards it. So everything about them is just, their conscience has been seared. And that is the reality, my dear Ndubisi. It is unfortunate. And you will ask, Should we? Am I saying that we should continue this way? Hell no. And if you have been following, for those of you who have been following me, you understand the solutions that I have profiled for us to get out of this endemic debacle, this mess, this stench that we actually put ourselves. It is not natural. It is self-made. And the solution are two. I gave two solutions on the table. One of the solutions, which is I consider to be the last resort. We don't want to get to that, even though that will be the one that will give us the real solution. We don't want to get to that. That should be the last resort. But the first resort is the military. Let the military take over. Now, you will say with the military, they are the same thing or whatever. Yes, they are the same thing with the politicians. They are part of the system that have brought us into this mess. But the reality is that in the military, the top echelon in the military hierarchy are those that are hobnobbing with the politicians, that the politicians are bribing, paying billions. In fact, the military, we all know that the military, they don't even scrutinize them anymore. Have you ever heard of EFCC summoning or inviting or investigating any military officer, either past or present? Hell no. This is bribery. They have been bribing the military perpetually. They perpetuated the military in bribery. So the military are complacent. They are accomplices in this whole nonsense. But what I'm saying, when I say the military should take over, I am talking about there are few unknown military personnel. People, those ones in the lower, middle to lower rank, that are basically can actually do something. They are in the position to do something. Because until and unless they do something, the system will remain hopeless. We will remain hopeless because there is no hope. And that is just the reality. We need the military to take over. Because what we have today is 100 times worse than what we had during the last military regime of General Abacha, the late General Abacha. 100 times worse. 100 times worse. And that is the reality. So the military can do this. They can get us better. What we need is purposeful team, military team, purposeful, patriotic military team, a military team that are not into the mundane things of life. They are not into ostentatious lifestyle like these politicians that we have, or the top military brass that we have. They are not into vainglory, vain things of life. They are really out to work for Nigeria and Nigerians. And this is my point here. And this brings me to the end of this monologue. Thank you once again. As you watched to this end, to this point, I hope you will continue to watch other contents, because if you enjoy this,